Okay, last minute. And it's 1 p.m. exactly.
Yes. Okay. So good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our webinar, Roles of Different Stakeholders in Children's Wellbeing in Finland. My name is Alina Jokela. I'm working as an intern in the Embassy of Finland in Prague. I'm working as a moderator now in this panel with my colleague Michal Pitin. I'm so happy to see so many people participating today because I think the topic is really important, especially now after and during the pandemics, because all the children are not feeling so well. So I'm so happy that you are attending. We have great 6 panelists here. They are going to tell about their work, how their work can support children's well-being in Finland. Our embassy has had many events and webinars before on Finnish education, but this time we wanted to have a little bit broader approach in this topic. So I will introduce Michal Pitin later, but now I would like to give a speech turn to our Deputy Head of Mission, Riikka Seppälä, to give a welcome speech on behalf of our embassy. So please, Riikka.
All right. Good afternoon from my part as well, everybody. And on behalf of the Embassy of Finland in Prague, I would really like to wish you a warm welcome to this webinar. Colleagues have put together a varied and comprehensive program where we will hear from a range of stakeholders in different regions of Finland and different actors in the field of education on how cooperation works between schools and all of these different stakeholders. The Finnish education system is well known and globally respected, and we are very happy to get to share and discuss some of the best practices from our country with the audience today. Apart from schools themselves, different support actors, hobby groups, sports, culture organizations, etc., form together a tightly knit fabric aimed at ensuring holistic well-being for children in our country. Among some of the questions to be discussed is how the Finnish state supports the multi-stakeholder approach to education, how the schools work with health and social care, and how different organizations take part in the education and children's well-being. We have great presentations from experts today in different fields, followed by a panel discussion where questions are also more than welcome from the audience. So I encourage a very lively debate and wish everybody an enjoyable webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Riikka. So now Michal.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I would like to introduce myself as well because I will be co-moderating the event with Alina. So my name is Michal Pitin. I work for the Embassy of Finland in Prague as well. First of all, thank you very much for participating. It's great to have so many of you here today. I would like to warn you once again that the whole event is being recorded, so we kind of assume that with staying here with us, you give us a consent that we can continue recording. I would like to ask you to keep your microphones muted and your cameras off. You can ask the chat here in Teams to ask any questions during the whole event, and I'll ask those questions for you. At the end of the event, there will be panel discussion. So if you're asked for live questions, then you can turn the camera and microphone on, of course. As I said, please use the chat. I will be checking it all the time, and then I will be asking those questions for you. About the structure, the speakers will have short presentations, and after the presentations, there will be 3 minutes for questions and answers, which will be related directly to the presentations. If there will be more questions which will stay unanswered, we will use them for the panel discussion. So no worry, we will try to answer those. And also we'll try to use your questions that you used in the registration form. that you already asked, and thank you for those. And those will be asked during the panel discussion at the end of the webinar. I think that I will quickly check my notes. That's all from my side. So I'm passing the word back to Alina. Have a nice event, and hopefully I'm looking forward to all the presentations.
Thank you, Michal. So let me introduce the first panelist, Marika Uhlbäck. She's working as a school curator in the city of Kajaani in Lehtikangas School. So please, Marika.
Hello and thank you. Should I put the camera on or?
Sure.
Yes, please.
Okay, now. Hello everyone. I'm Marika Uhlbäck and I'm school curator here in Kajaani, like Alina said. And now I'm trying to put the slide show on. Let me see if I can do this. There.
Okay, we can confirm that the presentation is visible, so you can continue.
Okay.
I'm sorry, can everyone see it? Because I can't see it for some reason.
Okay, we
Yes,
got a thumbs
absolutely.
up.
Okay, it's maybe just low for me.
No one is saying anything in the chat, so I hope it's visible for everyone.
Okay, let's hope so. Okay, so my task here at elementary school is to support students so that they have the best possible situation to learn and, of course, overall have a good stability in their lives. And I thought that how could I explain this school curator what it really means? And it's kind of like school social work, and we do preventive child welfare here. So we support learning and social skills, emotional developing, and mental and physical well-being. And every school has its own school welfare group, and school curator is part of it. So we discuss things on the whole community level, but also we can together think how to help an individual student. And school curators work with whole school community and also with these individual students. So as you can see, the slides, there are school community and individualized students' welfare. So we have this whole school under us. And we also participate different multi-professional teams and different kinds of projects. So we develop all the time our services and our work here. And our work fields are preschool, elementary school, and also school curators are in upper secondary level. And these transition phases, we work together. So there are different curators in upper secondary school than here in elementary school. But when the students moves to the next level, we work together so that student gets the best possible support when he or she moves on. Okay, I tried to change the slide. But next, who can contact us? Students themselves. Some pupils come to my door and ask can they come to talk with me, so I take them in. Also, parents and guardians can contact us, teachers, and other authorities. Teachers can come to consult me also anonymously. If parents don't know the teacher has worries, so the teacher might come to talk to me and ask what should they do. And then we together think what is the next level. And in some situations, for example, child welfare authorities contact me and ask regular meetings with the students. And sometimes we cooperate with them and we meet the student together. But it depends what the situation is. Every school obeys this Pupil and Student Welfare Act. And it said that if students need some time to have a private conversation, I have to organize my schedule so that I can offer the student a meeting within 7 days. And if the need is urgent, I have to arrange the meeting on the same day or the next one. So the student has this right to come to our services. And student can use these services without guardian's permission. So there might be situations that the student don't want the parents to know that they come to talk to us. But usually students are okay with that if I ask if it's okay if I call mom or dad and we can discuss these problems together. Okay. We have to offer students private conversation possibilities here. And sometimes parents know their child comes here, like I said, but the details of the conversations are private. So usually I discuss with the students what kind of things parents is good to know and what are the problems. Usually they allow me to contact the parents. But if the topics are kind of light, for example, they want to talk about dating and they get to know themselves and that basic stuff, I don't have to call home and tell what we have talked about. But if the students have some kind of mental issues or big worries, like and the student is danger for him or herself, or at home is some kind of abuse, or school absences are large, so those are the kind of situations that I usually call home. But however, I have an obligation to make notifications to child welfare stakeholders if the worry is big. So kind of I have this professional secrecy, so these conversations are private. But on the other hand, I also have this obligation to tell my worries to child welfare stakeholders if this children is some kind of in danger. But the younger the student is, the more the guardians are involved. That's the main rule. And next, in what kind of situations school curator is consulted? And you can see that there is learning and concentration difficulties, maybe absences, problems with schoolmates or in behavior, neglecting schoolwork or some kind of motivation problems, bullying or matters in the mental health of the students, or some kind of crisis in the family. So often school curator is the first step, I guess, to contact. Parents might call that there are problems with their children, they don't know what to do, or teachers might consult us that the students doesn't feel good, what should we do? And these are the problems we start to research. What could we do about these things? And here at school, we think that there is always a reason why children behaves like they behave or why they are problems. We just have to figure it out what they are. And my job is to kind of get the hang of it. What's the problem? So school curator is one kind of a detective, I guess. And we try to figure out what causes these problems, and together we try to solve what could we do about these things. We do social surveys, and I might go to observe the class situation or take meetings with parents and take other professional people there to think these things also. And when it comes to individual students, we meet one-on-one, and I use different kind of methods. I can show you next what kind of things we do. Okay, so when I meet the student for the first time, I like to get to know him or her, and we talk about the family, free time, what things are fine, and what kind of concerns the student might have, or how is school, and these kind of things, basic things. And we kind of try to get the hint of what's wrong and if there's something we could do about these things. And what can be behind students' exceptional behavior? And there might be learning difficulties, for example, dyslexia. Sometimes it's just normal development, and students come to talk to me and we discuss different things, and the things might get easier and everything's okay, but sometimes there might be something else behind these behavioral or absences, or what the problem is. There might be ADHD or autism spectrum disorder that hasn't been discovered yet, or loneliness, family issues. There might be divorce, or parents might have personal problems, and the economic situation might be bad. But also challenges with emotions and social skills. And those are the things that we can rehearse here when they come to talk to me. And we talk about emotions and how to cope with them. When he gets angry, we think, what can he do about those situations, and so on. Also, there might be disruption of circadian cycles. So at home might be no boundaries, when to go to sleep and when to eat, and what is the screen time and things like that. So if there is something wrong with those things, I usually talk with the student that, is it okay that I call mom or dad and we can meet together and talk about these things and figure out what could we do about these things.
Okay, Marika, I'm sorry to disturb you. There's 1 minute left.
Okay. So here you can see the people I work with. So there are psychologists, school healthcare, special need teacher, school youth worker, police, and third sector services, and of course family services and child welfare authorities. And we have to together figure out what kind of service is the one that this specific student needs to cope. And here are also some things what we do when we discover that there are what the problems are. So we can make plan here at school how to support in learning and school attendance. I can offer interpersonal counseling to the students, or confidential conversations, and we train together some skills. But also there might be bigger problems, so I have to think with parents and teacher what are the other professionals that can help the family. So I'm kind of a service counseling in some point. There's a lot we can do here at school, but we work a lot with other professionals. We meet the students together and the families together. We organize meetings and take roles who who do what.
Thank you, Marika, so much.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you very much for the presentation. There is a question already in chat, and I'm happy that people are not shy to ask. And I have also a couple of questions that we collected from the registration form. So, first of all, thank you again, Marika. I would ask you to stop the presentation now. And I have to say that the koulukuraattori, because there is no exact translation in the Czech, it's super interesting, especially to me, and I believe to many other people. There are actually questions to the same topic, and I had the same question. So I will start with those from the chat. Please, could you tell us what school police is?
School police. Okay, yes. It's a police officer who is specific here in our school. So we can consult this police officer. So if there is some big fight here at school, gets a bit physical or something, we contact the police and ask what should we do, and they might come here and talk to the students that had this fight. Or social media, for example, last year we had this situation when some girl had took nude photo from herself, and that picture unfortunately spread all over the school, and probably larger than our school. And
so the police had to take control of that. Yes,
they started their own investigation on that.
Okay, there is a next question. One was about the school police. Alžbeta is asking, I'm sorry to use the first name, but Alžbeta Štova is asking, what is your education background?
I'm a Bachelor of Social Sciences. Yes.
Then we have again question: how long does it take for a school curator to get to school from being contacted?
I'm sorry, how?
How long does it take for a school curator to get to school from being contacted? Are you there like full time? Are you working full time?
Yes, I'm full time here at my school, but other curators might have 2 or 3 schools. So my school is so big, here are about 800 students, so my job is here. But I have colleagues who has 3 schools. So
if you think of your work, like how much time you spend with pupils and how much time you spend with teachers, what do you like? How would you assess that?
90% students.
Okay, I think that's.
I think the most of my time goes to this individual student work.
How about, could you tell us like what are the most usual problems, or what are the most usual problems that you cope with?
Anxiety is nowadays very common. Motivation problems. Students don't come to school, and I think this COVID situation is one of the reasons to that. We have quite many students who just stay at home.
And they don't want to come to school.
Yes, and that's a point where I try to get them to meet me, and we start to do this investigation. So and try to figure out what is the problem that they don't want to come here. And because I don't do visits at home, so if the student don't come here at school, I have to do this notification to child welfare. So there are people who can go to students' home and start their own work.
Would you say that you need to, so for instance, do you identify these problems yourself when you go to the class visits? So you say, okay, do you ask the teachers what kind of support they need, or do you, or for instance, I was even wondering, can the student just pass by you in the corridor and ask, can I come to talk to you? Or I just cannot figure out how that works in practice.
Yes. Students can come by themselves. So, and what bigger students, they usually come to my door or text me and can I come? I have some things I want to talk about. But also parents call me. For example, quite usual nowadays is this divorce thing. Parents get divorced and they want that their child can come to talk about that to someone. And
Still, I'm sorry.
yes, and if I go to the class, perhaps the student, the teacher might have contacted me and tell that there might be something bullying or wants me to tell the students how to be a good classmate and stuff like that. So that's for the whole group.
Okay. Our time is nearly up, but we have still 2 more questions in the chat. Sylvia is asking, may I ask you, how are the quality standards for curators work set by whom?
How could I explain? We have these laws we have to obey. So this, let me check. Wait a second. This Pupil and Student Welfare Act is one of our leading stars, I could say.
Okay. And Katka is asking, does it mean that Finnish schools are eligible for having a position of school curator depending on number of students or the size of school, and how is responsible for quality of services? That's what you just answered. So mostly like are these Finnish schools eligible for having a position of school curator depending on number of students? Is there any certain number of students that one school curator is responsible for?
Yes. Now there is this law which recommends that we should have about 670 students on our responsibility.
Okay, and
So how many curators? I have this one school, but I have here 800 students. But my colleague has 3 schools, and overall her students are about 700.
So approximately to the same number, and the quality of the services and the standards are given by the law that you talked about.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry because I have a list of questions here, but the time is running. Thank you very much. I know that you mentioned that today you have to leave early because of work duties. Anyway, thank you very much for your time and that you stayed here with us. And thanks again. And I wish you have a nice rest of the day.
Thank you. And if you have any questions, you can email me and I try to answer you.
Thank you very much for that. And thank you and have a nice day. I'm passing the word back to Elena.
Yes, thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Marika. Let me introduce you the next speaker. She's Kirsi Lindroos. She's working as a director in the Secretariat for International Relations in the Ministry of Education and Culture in Finland. So please, Kirsi, the stage is yours.
Good afternoon, everybody. Please, you could show my PowerPoint presentation. I want to start by telling you about the history of state level and multi-professional cooperation. I was working in 90s, 10 years in the Association for Finnish Local Authorities. That time was very historical in Finnish history because municipalities got a very independent position, and the state was delegating more and more things to be decided in the local level, in the municipal level. That time we had more than 500 municipalities in Finland. Now we have something like 250. But that was the time also when we understood that in the state level, you don't have enough information about what are the situations in the local level in municipalities and schools. And that's why we wanted to give possibility for decision making to the school and municipal level. And you can understand that during all these years, we have been learning a lot from each other. State level has been learning from the local level, and the local level have got a lot of information and support from state level for their way how to get to the state goals, which have been decided by parliament or government. And already in 90s, we had in the state level system, in the ministries, that every time when we were preparing a new legislation or a new curriculum or whatever, so we had representatives from the Association of Finnish Municipalities taking part and telling everybody how it looks like from the local point of view. So in my first slide, I will start by telling you what we mean when we speak about children's well-being. If you could show, yes. This has been the most important thing during our history from the beginning of 2000, when we have been developing Finnish education. Because we believe that children are feeling them well when they have a possibility to grow up to a balanced and healthy and active adult in a school which is really supporting their learning and growth. And in concrete, it means that, first of all, the healthy and safe learning environment must be there. I started to work in the Ministry of Education year 2000. And the first working groups which we had was the modernization of the legislation for compulsory education. And in that work, we already were preparing also the idea of the healthy and safe learning environment right for every child, and it's still there. Another thing which is important for us in Finland is that we must have high qualified teachers with the latest skills and knowledge in the best teaching methods and a good student-teacher relationship. It means that they really feel and they do so that it's shown for children that they care. And nowadays we have the schools very multi-professional places with adults which have different kind of skills. We heard already how curators are working. We have assistants, we have psychologists, and so on, which are all needed, and they are all working together and supporting pupils' situation. What is also important when we speak about well-being is that children has wise things to do in the school. And it means that the way also to learn must be interesting and motivating. School and home cooperation is crucial. Also, we have in the state level very active unit or union which is for parents and how parents can be actively involved into the school work. And always we must also mention the school meals, because we have had school meals already more than 70 years here in Finland for everybody, free of charge. But then how we have been preparing this all is told here. As I already said, we have always, when we prepare a new legislation or curriculum or whatever development project, we have multi-professional groups. It means that members are from other ministries, for example, from the Ministry of Social Affairs and Health, and also from other state organizations. Under the Ministry of Education and Culture is working the Finnish National Agency for Education, which is responsible for education development and curriculums. But we also, and they are also, of course, always involved because they have information and knowledge about what is the best way to organize or to have in content in the curriculums. But we have also representatives from employers and workers' unions. And it's important, and already in the preparation phase, they can have a dialogue how to find and what kind of solutions in the practice everyday life when the new curriculum or our legislation is coming. We have also always representatives from universities because we want to have the largest information of research field. And what is something which is also very common is that big changes, big new decisions always need also some pivoting time. And it means that we have a group of schools, group of municipalities which are piloting, for example, a new core curriculum and giving feedback. And normally there is also a developing research and studies going on the same time, so that we get so many multi-professional feedback as possible. And of course, we must always also remember the broad hearing, which is nowadays when we have digital possibilities and tools, very interesting system with online follow-up and feedback. I must say that also international cooperation, of course, is very important in this. I was working 5 years in Paris for the Finnish permanent delegation, and I was working for OECD and UNESCO. And my duties were also to bring the last information and findings from these both organizations to the Finnish decision-making process. And then we go to one of the biggest program we have now ongoing in Finland, because we started year 2020, the program which is called Right to Learn. And there is different kind of parts of activities in it. But we try to find solutions how to add the quality of early childhood education and care and comprehensive school education. We also want to make these services as high quality as possible, and to find the solutions where we can also have these services locally, so that families don't have to take their children too long or far away. Our strength in Finnish education system has been and is still that also the nearest school is a very good one. So families can trust in it. I take one example or two from what this means in practice. So if we can check the next slide. In the part of this program for quality and equality in early childhood education and care, we try to find ways to get more children to participate in early childhood education and care. This is because we want to also have a possibility for early prevention of learners' difficulties or other things, support needs as early as possible. And we don't have all our children participating the early childhood education and care still. And we try to find also how to create equal conditions for learning paths, how to promote learning support, how to create the flexible start for learning, and how to improve the quality of these services. And the next part is from this in this program, the quality of and equality of comprehensive school education. And this tries to find solutions how to make it sure that everybody has equal opportunities to learn the skills they need in life. It means that in this work we want to strengthen learning outcomes and equality in education. We want to make available better support for children and strengthen the quality of teaching. And finally, we have a multi-professional forum which has been preparing this program and is all the time following what concrete work is done in the schools and municipalities. And also in this process, until the end of this year, we are going to have universities making studies and giving also the feedback, because this all what we are now doing is going to also mean new kind of legislation, new kind of core curriculums, I'm sure, and new kind of next steps how to develop our system. So finally, the idea of this kind of dialogue with stakeholders, with different kind of experts, we think that gives possibility to organize the quality education, and this supports, of course, children's well-being. And this also means that, as you know, we have a system where the state level is trusting that the local level in the municipal and schools, municipals and schools are working also similarly, so that they have a different kind of experts working together. And this is how we also have possibility for very interesting local models to be shared. We can find best practices to be shared to other municipalities and schools. And this also means, of course, that we are trying to learn from each other all the time, in the local level, in the state level, and more also in the international level.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. I'm sorry, I could hear some echo. I will stop presenting now. I can see that there is a question in a chat, and I also have a couple of questions already collected here. So I will start with the questions from the chat. As for parents, how successful are you in cooperating with parents from immigrant background or those with very low social economic status?
First of all, we have been, of course, translating all our materials in different languages. That's the first thing. And in the local level, we want to have a dialogue. We want to learn more about their needs, to understand their culture, and of course their background. This is something we have been working for a long time already. And there is also trust and openness quite important. You can imagine that when the parents know better how the school is working, so they also maybe are more satisfied with the everyday work in the schools. And of course, they can also then support their children, as all families we try to get in this process.
I have to say that I agree on that, because I saw that once in Finnish school when there was a support to Bulgarian student, and it was amazing. The Bulgarian student got very great language support, and he was able to, and also his parents were able to get into the system very, very fast. There's one more question. Do you have any special program for financing the research at the universities?
Yes, we have. Yes, we have. We always, when we have a development project starting, so we also give money for the universities to do their work. And also in these piloting projects, so we give resources to municipalities because, of course, there is needs for training for teachers and other professionals, and also different kind of other support to find something new and to work hard, because this all also means new ideas, and it means also that everybody has to put more working hours in it. So yes, we are putting resources both in the municipal level, to the municipal level, and to universities. But I also want to say about immigrants. We must also remember that in Finnish schools, immigrants, they have a right to get lessons in their own mother tongue. We believe that when we support their own language, they also learn other languages easier. And it is also shown by research.
By the way, am I right that if I remember correctly, that there needs to be at least 5 students of the same language? Let's say that if there are 5 Czechs living in let's say Jyväskylä, and there are 5 students that they are from Czech Republic, they have the possibility to get their Czech teacher.
Yes, and nowadays when we have digital possibilities, so it can be also very easily organized. And during COVID time, we have learned many kind of new solutions also for these distance learning systems. There is many negative things which has happened, but also there is positive things which has happened. And this is one of these new kind of learning methods, teaching methods.
Last question before we give the floor to the next presenter. I was wondering, I had one question for you prepared here. You talked about the international cooperation. So I was just wondering, are there any projects where Czech Republic and Slovakia are involved in international projects with Finland in these days?
At least I know that there is some Erasmus Plus projects.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember names, but I was just 3 years working in European Commission, and that time I was also going through some of these programs. And of course, what could be and is really interesting is different kind of Erasmus Plus higher education projects where we could do cooperation. For example, when we speak about teacher training, because pre and in-service teacher training they are both extremely important when we speak about the challenges in the future.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your time, for your presentation. Great answers. And let's keep the other questions for the panel discussion. Thank you. And I'm passing the word to Alina.
Yes, thank you, Kirsi. Now I'm passing the word to our third speaker, Hanne Kalmari. She's a leading specialist in the Finnish Institute of Health and Welfare. So please, Hanne.
Thank you, Alina, and good afternoon to everyone. It's a pleasure being with you this afternoon. In my presentation, I will introduce you in short the LAPE program. Please, can you tell me, are you seeing my presentation?
Yes, I can see that.
Thank you. Okay. Yes, I will introduce you shortly the LAPE program, which is the program that I'm coordinating at the Finnish Institute for Health and Welfare. And then I will tell you shortly about the Finnish model of family centers, which is part of the developmental work of this LAPE program. First, some words about this LAPE program, or actually it's called the Program to Address Reform in Child and Family Services, but this is so long that I prefer calling it LAPE program, which refers to children and families in Finnish. This program has been going on since 2016, since it was part of the Prime Minister Juha Sipilä's government program from 16 to 19, and now it's part of Prime Minister Sanna Marin's government program from 20 to 23. We've been giving 80 million euros during these years between 16 and 23 to implement this LAPE program. And most of that money has been allocated to counties and municipalities to do the developmental work with children's and families services. And what is the aim of this program? The aim is to strengthen the well-being of children and families. And we are doing this by moving the focus from the strong or heavy curative or remedial services to preventive work and to early support and care. We are also improving the timely access to services so that the children and the families, they don't have to wait a long time in order to get their services that they need. And what is important, we are integrating the services that are targeted to children and families, and we are coordinating them and so that they function in a child and family-centered manner. And why was there a need for more prevention and early support? I think here in Finland we have had, and partly also have also today, the same problem that the many developed countries have. That is that most of our children are doing just fine. I would say 9 children out of 10 are doing fine. They are healthy. There's no problems with their well-being or no strong or big problems. And also I would say that their academic achievement at school is fine. But then there's that one child out of 10 that has usually quite many kinds of risks or challenges with well-being, with health, or maybe at school. And the problem is that the gap between those 9 children and this one child is all the time getting wider and wider. That means that the well-being of that one child is getting worse and worse, and it's very difficult to get that one child returned to the same side as the 9 other ones. The other problem was that the services of children and families, they were very scattered. They were divided to many sectors, to many offices. And that was, of course, a problem, a big problem, especially those children and those families that needed many kinds of help, many kinds of services. That meant that they had to visit many different offices to get the services. They had to visit or meet many professionals and to tell their story over and over again. And that's why we had the need to integrate the services better, to get them function more family-friendly or child-friendly way. And one of our answers in LAPE program to those problems was the Finnish Family Center model. We have done many kinds of developmental work during these years from 16 to until today, but this Finnish Family Center model is something that we have done or implemented in the whole Finland. The aims of that family center model is to coordinate the public health and social services, but also educational services to better, so that they form a sort of network. And that network includes also the services of NGOs, the non-governmental organizations, and also of parishes. The aim of the family center is also to provide support and help to each child and family in a timely and coordinated manner, and to bring the help and the services close to the family's everyday life. That means to, whenever possible, to bring the services to daycare, to early childhood education, to schools, or meeting places, which is a place that belongs to the family center model, at the very low threshold, so that those services are easily accessible to families. And as I told, the one very important aim was to move the focus from the heavy curative services like child welfare or specialized healthcare services, child psychiatry, and so on, to preventive services and early support. Here you can see the picture of a family center, and you can see what are the services and functions that belong to this family center model or the family center network. And at this point, I have to tell that we have or the municipalities have had like 2 ways to make these family centers function. Some municipalities have formed a network of these services, and some municipalities have built or they have sort of physical family centers. That means that they have brought those services under to the same building, under the same roof, or most of the services. But even then, when there's only a network of services, it's always so that that network of services is managed as a whole, and it's also the operating culture is developed so that it functions in a child-friendly or family-friendly way, and all the services are coordinated together. But in this picture, you see the child and family in the middle at the yellow part. And then there are the meeting places that are always an essential part of the family center. They are like the living rooms or the common living rooms for the families, where the families can meet each other, they get the peer support. But we also bring the services or the functions of the NGOs or parishes to those meeting places. And there also the families can get information about the public sector services. Then we have e-services, and actually we are doing also preparing electric family center, which we are piloting this spring, and in the beginning of next year, it will start in function. But then there are the services of the social services and healthcare services that are targeted to families and children. But also to the family center belong all the services of the municipalities that are promoting children's health or families' health and welfare. And that means, of course, libraries, all the hobbies, or all the functions and activities targeted to young people or children or families, or the cultural services. And then on the right-hand side of this picture, you can see the activities and services of non-NGOs and parishes. This picture is kind of presenting the future, because at this moment, it is still so that the municipalities are in charge of the social and healthcare services. But in the beginning of next year, it will be the counties that are responsible for the social and healthcare services. And then a couple of words about what are the functions or the tasks of the family center. As I said, there are also, of course, all the services, the early support, the treatment, or also the rehabilitation services for the children and families. But there are also other kinds of tasks that are not responsibility of one single service, but it's more so that they are tasks that are kind of a responsibility of all the services networked to family centers, like that they have to provide support to parenthood, or they have to prevent domestic violence, or they have to take into account the multicultural families or the diversity of children and the families. So there are many, many tasks to those family centers, and when managing a family center, we make sure that all the service providers take into account all these tasks. And then, finally, the present phase of the developmental work of family centers. Now we have, at this moment, we have about 120 family centers in function, and of those meeting places, those living rooms for families, we have almost 500 in function. And we will have about maybe 20 or 30 more of family centers next year. So we are continuing this work all the time. And that was it. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation. It was really great, and I'm impressed, I have to say. First question from the chat. Do schools cooperate with family centers?
Yes, or the professionals of social services and health services cooperate with schools. And as I said, we also try to bring, whenever possible, the services, the social services, the health services to the schools so that they are easily accessible to the students. Like if a child has problem with speech, she or he might get the therapy services at school instead of going to the therapist's office.
Okay, just technical, if you can you please stop sharing your screen with us, please? It's okay, just that
yes.
I can see that. We also collected a couple of questions. For instance, imagine that I have, like, for instance, in my case, I've got 2 daughters, and should I come to the family center only if I identify some problem, or can I just come there and consult even without any particular reason, that someone will check my children, that everything goes as it should?
First of all, you can always come to the meeting place with your children and meet other families and maybe participate in some function or activity offered by an NGO. But then, yes, you can also contact the family center. And of course, you do if you have 2 children. They might have their regular checkups at the child health clinics, which is usual, normal way to do or work in Finland. But also you can contact any other professional at the family center and well, consult her with the matters of your family, and he or she might say that or give you some advice, or if you need some maybe some services, she can give you the advice who to contact or call the other professional to meet you and your family together with her, which is the normal way to function.
Yeah, I asked that because maybe for some parents it might be quite difficult to identify the problems. So, for instance, not everyone can notice it at the very first glance. Then I noticed that in your presentation you also mentioned the school healthcare, which is very interesting thing, and it's not a very common thing in the Czech Republic. Could you tell us a bit about that? For instance, about the school nurses and so on, or what the school healthcare actually means?
Oh, school healthcare, that means that, yes, we have nurses, but also doctors that take care or take part of the school healthcare. That means that all the students at school, they have their regular sort of checkups, annual checkups with the school nurse, and then not every year, but at certain levels of education, also check up with the doctor. And then there are also the school psychologist and the school curator, which we already heard about in the first presentation. And those professionals, the school nurse, doctor, psychologist, and the curator work together, and they form the school healthcare and also sort of the social care at the school.
And they are all in cooperation with the family centers, this doctor, nurse, curator?
Yes. At this moment, the school psychologists and the curators, they are usually or they are working for the municipalities. But from the beginning of next year, also the psychologists and curators will be transferred to the county level, so that the county is responsible for those services. But the psychologists and the curators, they still continue working at school, of course, because the students are there. But there will be interesting sort of cooperation between the county level and the municipality level, because they work at the schools, at the municipalities, but the organization responsible for those services is the county.
Okay. I know that the time is running, but there's still one more very interesting question. How do you manage to achieve proper collaboration between Ministry of Education and Ministry of Health?
Well, I forgot to mention that at the period of Prime Minister Sipilä's government, actually both ministries, the Ministry of Education and Culture and Ministry of Social Affairs and Health, were responsible for this LAPE program, which was very strong message from the national level that the well-being of children is not only the responsibility of social services and health, but also of education, early childhood education, and all the hobbies and so on, the cultural level. And yes, at that during those years, the cooperation with those or between those two ministries was very strong and very important to the implementing of this program.
Hey,
Thank you very much.
Excuse me, can I add that, as I told you, so it has been many decades we have been working together, and we have learned that how important it is to learn from the other sector. And this means also a good cooperation, not only between the Ministry of Social Services and Health, also with other ministries. So I mean only that it has been a long process and it has been important for everybody.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you, Anna. Thank you very much for your presentation and answers. And there will be probably more questions in the panel discussion. Thank you for now.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And now from the social and health issues, we are moving towards more to culture and hobbies. And our first speaker, or actually fourth, will be Jana Tirini. She's working for Espoo City Library. So please, Jana.
Good afternoon to all. I will share my screen with you. Are you seeing it now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'm really happy to be invited to this webinar and tell you briefly about Finnish public libraries' role in education and lifelong learning and children's well-being. I'm always delighted when somebody remembers that libraries are part of education and well-being system. So thank you for inviting me. I think that Finnish libraries can't be discussed as a separate issue or only as like an import product. Development of Library Act, I think, is a really good example of that. The first Library Act in 1920s emphasized everyone's right to use library. The second, in the 60s, was about having libraries in every municipality. In the 80s, the focus was on expanding the areas where libraries are working. And then in the 90s, it was all about internet and getting free network access to everybody. The newest Library Act gives a strong mandate for public libraries to develop ambitious and new approaches. So that means that libraries are not anymore only about reading skills or reading as a hobby. 2016 Act has a strong focus on active citizenship, democracy, lifelong learning, and equal opportunities to culture and information. And I think all these things are really important in education field, because one doesn't get ready when they turn out to be 20. The lifelong learning is something you really have to know how to do it in order to be an active citizen in this changing world. And to make sure that the goals of the Act are coming true, library services will really have to be available in every municipality. That is stated in the law, and services are free of charge. And I think one other important thing is that nowadays it has become more and more important that one doesn't need to be a resident of the city in order to use library. So you don't need even a permanent address. You just need a postal address in order to get library cards. And for example, those refugees living in refugee centers, they just need the address of the refugee center. But all this is only a foundation, and we in libraries, we have to work hard for inclusion on a daily basis. And then if you think about municipal level, the location and opening hours are really important for libraries to be present in people's everyday life. Because in Finland, it used to be that the libraries were in the city centers, or there was only one library in the city center, and then there were really many people who have to use car in order to get to the library. For example, in Espoo, where I live, there's big regional libraries. They are in shopping centers, which are really reachable by bus, by train, by metro. So with really many kind of things. And 2019, Espoo City Library got the award, the Library of the Year award on London Book Fair. And the theme of that year was inclusion. And I'm really proud that we got the award for having an open and innovative service for everybody. And now I would like to give you some examples of what we do in Espoo libraries. I will show you quickly some photos from our services and events, and I won't comment them then after I've shown this after my presentation. We can go back to them if you have something to ask about them. So just watch and see. So hope you enjoyed the photos. And then this is just a couple of facts about libraries in Espoo. Finnish libraries are really heavily used, and so are libraries in Espoo. These figures are before COVID, because during the epidemic we have forced to limit the services a lot. For example, those different kind of workshops, we haven't been able to have them. But what I'm really proud of is that nearly 80% of the residents of Espoo have visited libraries during the past 12 months. And it means like over 4 million visits a year. Okay, what happened? Sorry. The last. I'm really sorry. Now I'm again. So before I thank you for your time, I would like to remind that libraries are not only about education and lifelong learning. I think what is important, that library is a safe place where children and youth can spend their free time. Library is for hanging out, for playing games, and for meeting friends. And if a child or teenager needs an adult to talk with, library staff is there to listen without any obligation to demand them anything. And the link on this slide takes you to a 7-minute YouTube video. 2 of our staff members made it when Finland had its 100-year anniversary. If you like, it could be watched as a nice summary of what we do in Espoo and in Finland. Thank you.
Thank you. And I have to say that thank God that my mic was muted, because I was yelling here while I was watching the pictures. It's not a library anymore. Come on, there are so many activities, and I think that all these activities help the well-being of young people, and not just young people, but all people in Finland. And I have experienced, and I know what the services are in the Czech Republic, and they are doing great job, really amazing job. And I have to say that here also in Finland, I can see how library can even move forward. It's not about books and magazines anymore, but this is something. I remember once I was asked by a colleague, and he said, what can you borrow in library in the Czech Republic? And we started discussing, and then he kept on saying, in Finland you can borrow kettlebells, sewing machines, and so on. So it's really true.
It is.
So there is always someone who can, for instance, teach me sewing.
Yeah, not always, but you can book a time for yourself, and then you will be sure that there is someone. But it often happens that where the sewing, it's an open space where the sewing machines are. So if you go there, you really often find another customer sewing, and then customers really are helping them, others. So even if the library staff isn't available at that time, there might be someone else who is able to help you.
I have to say that I saw the 3D printers nowadays in libraries. I saw that you also provide music lessons, like ukulele lessons, so you can even borrow ukulele at home. Is it so?
They are really popular. There are like over 80 people came, and they had their own ukulele festival for a whole weekend in our library. So first there were like 2 members of library staff operating the ukulele sessions, but nowadays it's mainly operated by people themselves.
How difficult is to provide these services or offer these services to young people? How much you cooperate with schools, and how much you search for the kids, or how you promote your work? Or is it so known that you don't need to promote it at all?
Actually, there are like in our big libraries, there are like from 30 to 50 or 60 teenagers every evening. So, and it goes from mouth to mouth mainly, but we do have, of course, we do have Instagram and things like that, where we promote these services when something is happening in the library. But we also give them book tips and things like that. So.
I also remember that you mentioned that you were reaching the schools with the library buses.
Yeah, we do, but mainly I think that during COVID we really learned that those distance learning methods are so much easier. So mainly we do it if the class can't come to library, then really many teachers ask for distance sessions. Yeah, but also we have that thing, library service path, which is a structure for school cooperation. So there is like plates where teachers can choose if they want like reading promotion, if they want 3D printing, if they don't want something else for their class.
Well, I have one more question in the chat. No, it's the link from Alena, and I will just check if there is one more. I visited a very modern library in Helsinki several years ago, and it was amazing. Free open space for everyone and almost everything. Thank you, Dana. One more thing before we move on. For instance, do libraries focus on kids like in the sense that they would organize like after school clubs? So you know that the kid ends around 2 p.m. So you prepare the after school club directly when the school day ends.
We have had some of them, and then we have like that someone is doing in the library space something, and everyone who come to library can take part. For example, 3D printing when it's going on, children are coming and asking what is there, can I join also? But more and more we are going to have many kind of clubs, because there is a I think called Finnish model of that Icelandic model. It's like a version of that Icelandic model, and there are really many providers providing after school activities to children.
Thank you very much for now. Thank you once again, and we'll see in the panel discussion.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jana. Actually, the next panelist is going to tell you more about this. So please, Susanna Beckmann.
Thank you. Yes, I'm going to be echoing especially something that Jana said in the last moments of her presentation about how the libraries are also working with the education field. I'm going to give you some examples of practices, existing practices from the city of Tampere, which is the third largest city in Finland, has some 241,000 inhabitants and 33 basic education schools. Providing basic education in the city. And I'm going to talk about how the cooperation between schools and different private and third sector actors is organized on the municipality level. And for example, one of the sectors is what Jana just mentioned, is that organizations and companies are invited by the municipality or by the city to apply for contracts with the city to provide after-school care, summer camps and leisure activities for children in cooperation with the schools. And these providers must meet certain quality standards, and the city is always, or the municipality is responsible for ensuring the quality. And the quality standards and application process for the providers are very clearly explained in the municipality's website, free for everyone to see. And so are also all the companies that are currently cooperating with the municipality. It is all very transparent. And often it is the same companies that are providing all three services. So the afternoon care, the summer camps and the leisure activities. So now let's take a little bit closer look on the cooperation with the leisure activities. I'm going to share my screen here. I trust that you see this. And
I can see that.
Great. This is a short video made by the city of Tampere. It's about 2 minutes. It is in Finnish, so I will not be sharing the sound, but I will be the sound and just talking over the video and explaining what is happening. Sorry. So let's go for the full screen first. I'm trying to organize this like this. Okay, very good. So the Tampere model is the name of the video. Leisure activities for everyone. So the model of Tampere. The Finnish model is a project by our Ministry of Education and Culture, which aims to enable every child and teenager to have leisure activity in connection with the school day. Participation is possible before, during or after school. Based on this, the city of Tampere has developed their own model, the Tampere model. And the main objective of this model is to increase the well-being of children and young people. We want everyone to be able to celebrate successes, spend time with friends, and find interests to light their fires. That's why we offer leisure activities free of charge to enrich everyone's lives. Schools are at the center of the action, but also youth centers, adult education and community centers, sports groups, libraries, art museums, and other local actors in leisure activities are involved. The model is built and developed via consulting the children and young people on their needs and wishes, and activities are provided in the morning, during the school day, in the afternoon, and in the evening. For easy access, activities are available close to the schools all around the city. You don't have to have your own equipment. Borrowing the gear makes it easy to experiment and try out different things. And the goal is, of course, to increase and support the well-being of children and young people at present, but also in the long term. So that is the Tampere model. I'm now going to take you to Tampere City's public webpage, where this model explained a bit more in detail, and I'm going to show you some practicalities on how it works. Now this webpage is translated by Google, so I am going to apologize in advance for the lack of proper English on this. I trust that you can now see the webpage. So this is Tampere City's webpage, where they talk about this. Now here says permission to move and engage. We are still talking about leisure activities for everyone. So we get the funding by the Ministry of Education and Culture, and the project is going on in the city of Tampere. And immediately in the beginning, you can see that we are inviting companies and organizations to join. So if you would like to join, if you would like to offer your services into this program, you click here and you will find more information. The hobby groups are for grades 1 and 9, so this is the whole basic education, and some of it is free for everyone, some of it is only intended for the schools to use. But in this web page you can also see that there is the entity, meaning that all the city materials are here. There are separate materials for teachers. For example, there is information about the different companies who are providing the services. So if you want to check them out beforehand, also for of course the students and the parents. And also there is information about the different venues that are participating in in this program. So you can check where they are and what sort of facilities. There are photos, etc. And also other advice for teachers, for example. So there is the staff site that you can see that I have clicked. So when you go to the hobby calendar, it looks like this. You can search for a hobby. If you are interested in basketball, you can write it down. You can select a hobby by age group. These P's mean the grades. So it's for different age groups, it's for different grades, or adults even can choose a hobby from here. Place means every possible place around town. If you're interested about something that is close to you and want to check what is happening near you, you can click this. And here's the home. So like I mentioned, some of this happens during the school day. And the way it happens during the school day is that Tampere has allocated 1,500 lessons to schools from this program. And those are related to sports. They can be different types of sports. They can be tennis or football or mountain biking as it's in the photo, but they can also be wall climbing or whatever type of sports that the school, for example, doesn't have the facilities for and the teacher would like to use. And this 1,500 hours is divided between the schools and between the areas based on decisions by the municipalities' education leadership. So they see which schools are going to use the funding this year, which schools are going to use the funding maybe in the autumn, which schools in the spring. And the teachers get a code that they can use, also the early education teachers, and they can use it to book the lessons to a time that is convenient for them, that they would like to have the lessons. So for children and young people, if you're just looking for something for yourself, you click that, and then they're separate for kindergarten groups and school groups. So you can start searching. And here, of course, again, these are not translated very well, but you can see what it means. So these pages in the box means grades. Google Translate is being a bit silly. If you're interested in this, and you want to find out more, you go and then it takes you to that company's webpage. So you can see that there are different sorts of things, from golf to dance classes to circus lessons. Different sorts of things are happening. I'm going to show you you can see that there's quite a lot of pages here with different sorts of things. They even have, like you can see at the top, could I make money cleaning workshops? So there's entrepreneurship lessons, there's skateboard building, there's spoken word things, beauty self-care workshops, all sorts of things, all sorts of sports, all sorts of arts are happening here. Some of them are scheduled on a certain weekday, as you can see. Some of them happen whenever you can go there. And some of these require that you sign up in advance, and some of these are just that you show up. For example, there are several gyms in here that you can just go to the gym by yourself or with your friends, and there's going to be somebody there at the gym to help you. So they can assist you and they can help you build your program or help you work out in a correct way. So all sorts of things are available, rap and rhymes and youth theatre, you name it. And if you can't find what you're looking for from these calendars, you can ask about a hobby. This form is also available in English, so this is proper language here in Tampere website. So you can ask for yourself or for somebody else. What you have here is a free box. You can ask, write your question. You can ask about a specific hobby or a leisure activity, or you can just say that I don't know what to do, but I'm interested in these sorts of things. What could you recommend? You write down your contact information and somebody will contact you. I think it's said in the beginning that yes, the cultural, sports and youth services will answer the question within 5 weekdays. So within 5 days, somebody will contact you, and this is promised here by this thing. And the aim of this whole program, as the Ministry of Education and Culture has said, that they hope that this project sort of attaches into the municipalities, so it becomes a permanent practice in the municipalities. But during this project, the municipalities have been able to build these sorts of forums to organize the work, find out already existing policies and invent new policies around the leisure activities, and try to get as many people involved as possible. Also, it has enabled advertising about this and talking about this, and bringing interest into this. So it seems to be working great, and also the teachers are happy, the schools are happy, and they are getting in touch with different companies on their area. So thank you. In short, that was me. Now, if anyone has any questions, then I'm happy to answer.
Thank you.
Let me try to stop sharing if I can.
Yeah, there are questions. Katka is asking if you could specify a bit more the system of funding for these activities.
Sorry, could you confirm that I have stopped sharing?
You're still sharing it.
Okay. Well, there we go. Yes, now I've stopped sharing. Sorry,
Okay.
Michael, could you ask again?
Sure. I will repeat the question. Katka is asking if you could specify a bit more the system of funding for these activities.
So the funding comes from the grants that have been allocated to the municipalities by the Ministry of Education and Culture. So at this moment, it works like that because it's free of charge for everyone. The participants, I mean.
I wanted to ask, like, these services are provided by all towns in Finland, or like would?
There is a comprehensive list of all the municipalities and cities who are involved in the project, but not all the cities in Finland are involved in this project. This is a project from the ministry, and so those municipalities and cities, this is also public information. Also, how much money they received is public information. And I have to clarify my previous answer. So, of course, some of the funding comes from the grant, and some of the funding is a municipal political decision, of course.
Okay, are the teachers like familiar with this? Do they know? Are they really well informed that they can use this kind of services?
Yes, they are very well informed, and they are aware because they have to receive the code. So of course this is advertised in the schools, this is advertised in the municipality level, and it is very popular. So the teachers are indeed using it because it's like an extra resource. And I don't know, maybe the calendar was there quite quick, but you could see that some of the companies come to the school to do, for example, the dance lessons, but for some activities you will have to travel. So of course then it's up to the teacher and up to the school what sort of things they would like to choose.
Also, are these activities somehow involved in the project called MOVE, if I'm correct, that started in 2010 in Finland?
Yes, MOVE is another specific program. Yes, but some of it is, especially there are links in the web pages that have some materials for that. But the MOVE program is a different one.
I have to say that this is a great system how to organize how to offer it, like the free time activities to the kids, and make sure that they can spend their time like valuably, if that is correct, if that is a correct word, so you can avoid that the kids will be just running around not knowing what to do. There are more questions. I will take at least one more before because the rest we'll keep for the panel discussion. There was a question from the cooperations between schools and the other organizations. Is this the only way how the schools cooperate with the organizations, or do they have any like individual paths also?
Oh yes, of course they do. This example was merely on something that is organized on the municipality level. So this is like an umbrella, but of course there are other types of organizations and other types of corporations as well. Not everything is related to the leisure activities. There are other things as well that are happening beside this program. I think one of the strengths of this is that it really shows the diversity of things that are available. I was amazed by the 21 pages of that. It keeps on coming, and they are different things and so versatile. I wanted to go and do air yoga and the beauty programs and all sorts of things, and it's amazing because it's free and you don't need to have the equipment, so you can just, maybe you like it, maybe you don't, you can try and then try something else the next week.
I think I would be the case saying like, I don't know what to do. Can anyone tell me?
Well, then you have the form. You just ask.
Yes.
They will call you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
And thank you for your presentation.
Thank you, Susanna. So last but not least, our next speaker is Salla Kukko from the Guides and Scouts of Finland, and she's going to tell about the cooperation of hobby organizations and the schools in Finland.
Hi, everybody. Very nice to meet you all, and thank you for welcoming me here. I'm gonna share my screen as well in just a minute. Here we go, and then I will put it on the presentation mode like this. Can you see it? Great. All right, so my name is Salla Kukko, and I'm working for the Scouts and Guides of Finland as an education coordinator. I have graduated from Tampere University as the Master of Education, and I specialized in this kind of non-formal education in my master studies, and got very interested of how this kind of non-formal sectors, such as libraries, like we heard of, and different hobbies, museums, and cultural centers can support education in Finland and in the world on the side of formal education. Now I think somebody else's microphone is on as well. I can hear some noise. Yeah, I am gonna go forward. If it goes forward. Now it's not going anywhere for some reason. Now it goes. Okay, so just briefly about the Scouts and Guides in Finland. As everybody probably knows something about the Scouts and Guides, and I have heard that in the Czech Republic it's actually quite popular, which is quite nice. But it's actually the biggest youth organization in the world and in Finland. There is 45 million Scouts in over 200 countries, and in Finland nearly 65,000 participants yearly. And Scouting you can make to look very much like you want it to look for yourself. When you do Scouting as a hobby, you can choose quite freely what kind of activities you want to take part to, and it depends if you're a child or if you're an adult, if you're a teenager, what kind of program there is for you and what you then choose. Do you want to more take part to projects, or do you want to take part to the weekly meetings? Are you a child taking part, or are you an adult arranging the meetings, or are you taking part to big international conferences of discussing different topics or going to camps or hikes? There is very different levels. There's local, national, international, and very good example from what the National Scouts of Finland is arranging is this coming summer, 2022, there is going to be a big camp called Finjamboree Kajo, where it has gathered already 13,000 participants who will be gathering around Hämeenlinna area in Finland in the forest, and they will build a small society for 10 days where there's going to be restaurant and a theater and a lot of program, saunas and like a camp radio. And it's a small society where you can try to step into a new role than in your everyday life. It's a very cool experience for adults as well, because if you are in your everyday, let's say an engineer on this camp, you can do volunteer work as a radio host. So this maybe gives a little bit of image that Scouting is not only making knots, but it has really many different levels to it. a big message of the scouting is facing the challenges of tomorrow. So we have goals, like educational goals, where we try to make children and young people stronger and with better self-confidence and social skills to face challenges together. A big topic of this webinar was this well-being for children and young people, and I was considering some key points that how can scouting, in my opinion, bring this well-being. And as we know, there's a lot of research made of the positive impact of spending time outside in the forest, in the nature. And it's a big part of the scouting activities to spend time outdoors. I was doing my master's thesis of the Finnish nature schools, and while I was reading literature for that, I found out that a lot of research shows that your own personal nature connection is carrying very much. It's very much different if we bring adult people to the nature sometimes for some experiencing, and then they feel relaxed and calm. That's of course very good, but if we are able to bring smaller children from the young age and build them their own relation with the nature, that they feel like nature is important for them, they know how to act there, how to behave, how to go there, and that they have their own feeling, that they feel good there, we can bring well-being in a bigger image for the entire society, because then these children are growing up to be adults, and if they feel stressed, they know how to go to the nature to calm down by themselves. And I think of well-being also as a social well-being. The Scouts has a lot of social activity. You do work in different social groups and meet different people, and Scouting has a very big message of acceptance as well. We try to make Scouting as accessible for people from different backgrounds and different languages, and that everybody can be who they are and how they are. And of course, physical movement is also bringing well-being. Now I was talking very much about how Scouting is as a member of the Scouts, but then as Susanna was talking about the Finnish model for leisure activities, actually the Scouts and Guides of Finland is also part of this project. We arrange this kind of scouting clubs. So as Susanna was talking about examples that you can go to sports clubs, dancing or stuff, you can also choose scouting clubs in some municipalities. This is only just the beginning. We have scouting clubs in about 10 to 20 municipalities right now, but it was very popular in these questionnaires where we were they were asking children in different municipalities what they would like to do as a hobby. I think if I remember right, all the municipalities answered some answers that they would like to have it, and in 27 municipalities it was the most popular club and program that they would like to attend. So actually it's very popular for children to be excited for such activities. And it's a little bit different from the normal member scouting. It's a kind of scout-like program, but you don't have similar symbols, such as I'm wearing this scout scarf right now and stuff, but it gives the possibility for children from different backgrounds and locations to take part to scouting like activities and get the well-being points out of it. It makes it possible for different locations, because normally these kind of clubs are arranged at the school, after school. So then it's possible even if you live very far away, that you don't have to make your parents drive you back to town sometime in the evening, which might be like a really difficult point for some hobbies. And maybe these children then sometime want to join scouting as a hobby. So it's also very great for us as an association to give this experience for those children. This is the last slide. I just brought it because I am looking at scouting from the educational point of view and the non-formal education. Scouts in Finland have now going on different projects through which we want to recognize the different non-formal skills that you can get through scouting. There's, for example, this youth work center of expertise called Kentauri, which is studying the outcomes of young people's free time hobbies. And then nowadays it's actually possible to get study credits, official study credits through some scouting courses that you can actually use for your different school levels. If you're, for example, studying in a professional school, you can do some courses in the hobby sector. For example, in the scouting, you can do a leadership course, and then you can get 5 study credits that you might be able to actually use straight away in your main studies. And the idea of this is that maybe if you turn 18 and you're applying for jobs or stuff, you might feel like you don't have anything to offer. You don't have the work experience, you don't know anything, and your CV looks empty. But actually these young people who have been through scouting for many years, they have a huge package of skills and knowledge that would be very valuable for them to be able to mention. So these kind of projects, they make it visible that if you arrange, for example, a camp, or if you're part of leading a group, you have leadership skills, you have coordination skills, project management, and we are trying to give names for these skills of non-formal activity. And there are different ways to show it. There is the study credits, there's an open batch factory where you can create different batches through your, like I have been in a project like this, and that included this kind of skills and roles for me. And you can choose also, you can go to wilderness guiding course or hiking or mental well-being course or leadership. And also volunteer working experiences, they give very much new experience. And the idea is to give this space for young people and adults and children to try out their skills and new roles in the society in a safe space, seeing what you can do and learning the value of that as well, not only the formal schools. This was my last slide. If you have some questions later on, also my contact information is in the corner, and you can also find our websites and social media channels after the title. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sala. Thank you very much. I have to say that scouting is super important, especially to me. I'm scout myself, and I know how much it helps and how much it helps. And especially I like that you mentioned the social well-being thing, because we talked about the physical well-being, we talked about the mental well-being, but the social well-being is super important, especially in these days after the pandemic. I will check the chat now.
Shall I stop sharing?
Yes, please. Okay. I have to say that, especially now, I hope we can say that when the pandemic is over, I know that scouting is very important because the kids have place where to meet with other children of their age, and maybe it helps them also to overcome some difficulties. That is, for instance, the program that was started by the Scouts in the Czech Republic that they offered to schools. Is there anything similar like that in Finland?
What kind of program did they start in?
It was a program for team building activities for classes. So they helped the teachers. The teachers could ask them for this kind of program, and they prepared team building activities to help the kids to get back together and for the social well-being activity. It was just great.
Yeah, that sounds really great. We don't have something quite just like that, but there are some courses that you can also attend if you're not a scout, and also I think that this scouting club maybe makes it more accessible also, because it brings it to the school and you can come and try it out. At least if you're a member, then you can join very many. There are also some new cooperations with some mental health care associations that we do together, some kind of like young people's mental health courses. And yeah, we talk very much in scouting about this accepting everybody as they are, and also try to work very much for different language backgrounds to be able to also join and everybody, and also if you have a wheelchair or other kind of limitations, we try to make it as accessible as possible to take part.
There's a question from Ebra. Sala is from Roihu 2016 camp, I believe. My question is how we can export these scouting programs to other countries.
How we can export the scouting programs to other countries? Do you mean this this kind of scouting club? Maybe they can specify. Actually, I think what they mean by Roihu 2016 camp is I was working as a everybody as an adult, they have to have a role, a volunteer work role for that week, and you, as I said, you can choose a different kind of role than you do in your everyday life. And my volunteer role for that big camp was I was being an actress, so maybe they recognize me from because I was acting in the big stage, and that was streamed online. So that's funny if you recognize me. Big fame.
I have to say that scouting gave me like lots of skills that I couldn't be taught in school, and these would be great if they could be somehow part of the school education. I would like to ask for one more question. This during the pandemic and when there is any disaster, for instance, if I talk about the Czech Republic, scouts are usually the first ones who offer help and who are willing to help immediately. How about in Finland?
Well, in Finland, I think scouts are taking part to such things, and like you sometimes talked about this, like some events where we are doing volunteer working, like helping with the arrangements and stuff like that. I think often scouts are helping with such things, and also we have these Christmas calendar campaigns. I don't know if you have heard of those, but then, like, for example, bringing those to children in hospital, and this kind of things that you may try to make it bring good to the society. Also outside the scouts, that you do some kind of project that supports.
I have to say that scouting is a great linkage between formal and informal education. It's just great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm passing the word to Alina. I know that we used all the time, but
yes, if you, the panelists, could stay for a while, we understand if you need to go, but it would be nice to discuss a bit more openly. Like we have got some questions from the audience already before. We tried to answer them already, but we have some left. But if you need to go, it's okay. But I would like to ask you a question that we got beforehand. Do we have some in the chat, by the way?
We have no questions in the chat right now. There is a question about record. Yes, we will make it accessible later. Maybe we could ask our speakers to turn their cameras on and and then we can ask them the questions, and maybe we can give a floor for a live question. What do you think?
Yes. If there's someone in the audience, I can make you allow your mic and camera if you want. You can raise your hand or in the audience, or just send a message in the chat that you would like to ask something. But
okay, I will follow the chat.
Yes. Okay, great. So I will ask the first question, which was for me quite difficult, but I think it's interesting. So we got it beforehand. So can you describe the process of creating or thinking of the traversal competencies? How did you come to the decision not to use the EU Council key competencies for lifelong learning as the general objectives? Do you think competencies are the best approach for the top level of a curriculum compared to main principles? Thank you. Is there someone, a panelist, who would like to answer to that, or do you have some experience on that, or is it someone else who is responsible on that in Finland? Yes, Kirsi, please.
At least when we speak about the key competencies in the curriculums and qualifications, so of course Finland has been very actively taking part to the working groups in European Commission but we also have wanted to be very independent when we speak about curriculum. And we think that the key competencies must be prepared by ourselves together with all stakeholders and working life. It's important to know about the needs in the area also. And in Finnish system, we have the national level criteria and goals, but every region and local authority and institutions are still also preparing their own local curriculum, how to reach the national goals. That's at least one reason for that.
Thank you. Is there someone else who would like to respond?
I think we can move on.
Yes, okay. The next one, which is already, we have been discussing about it, but what positions at school support the well-being of students and how? What support do these positions have from municipalities and the state? For example, how is a teaching assistant, social pedagogue, special pedagogue supported in the relationship? I think Marika already told about that, but maybe you can give some comment on that state level or municipal level. Yes, please, Susanna.
Okay, thank you. There were many questions there. I'm trying to remember all of them. The first question was who is responsible for the well-being of the students. I would say the whole school is responsible for the well-being of the students and everyone who works at the school and is involved in the school. I think that is the Finnish mentality and approach. And of course, yes, this was already touched upon before that we do have the health services in the school and the social services in the school who work together with the teachers and with the teaching assistants and other professionals in the school, special education teachers. And this is governed by the law. So it's not a municipality decision. This is a national decision on how the resources are divided. So it's a law, several laws actually governing all this. So it's not a municipality decision. Now
I agree with that.
The other questions. Sorry.
I agree with that. I think it's a very good point, and also I think that it's we should even widen it to like that the society with from different sectors have similarly libraries have a role in the well-being and different hobby sectors, and we all should somehow think that the children in our society are growing up to be part of our society, so the different sectors can take part to educating and making them feel good in the society as well. But I think in this inside the school it's very good already in Finland that even the cooks and cleaners have a role in that.
Definitely.
Exactly, indeed. I know that the point of view of the teaching assistants or the school assistants is often discussed in the Czech Republic, and I understand that the situation can vary between the municipalities with that as well. And in Finland, we have a general education for the school assistants, an education which is also applicable for being a personal assistant or working as assistant with disabled people or everywhere. So it's an assistant degree, and with the assistant degree you get the qualification and you get the certain pay, and it sort of makes it level the playing field with that as well. Kirsi can continue from here. You're still muted, Kirsi.
Yes.
I also think that what is crucial in local and school level is that there must be also for all professionals training and courses all the time during the working career, because things are changing and we get all the time more information and research findings of many things. And I also think that the whole school community, when we speak about adults, should have trainings together to find their own solutions, how to work together even better than now. And I also have an experience that principals and leaders are very important in these communities. They need also leadership and management training through their work, because the goal should be also the same for everybody in the community, and everybody has an important role in that. And what I want to take up is pupils' participation. We must have system how to listen them and how to make them to participate in the community as an active partner, because it gives a lot of experience of a role of active in the society, which they also need later on. Thank you.
Yes, Michal.
Maybe if I can just ask maybe something to Hanne, maybe she could explain that to me. That it was the, for instance, I know that there are is it monitoimetalo or there are like groups of buildings of schools and libraries that work together, and that there is one headmaster. For instance, is the family center, can be family center part of that?
Yes, quite often it is. Quite often the family centers are operating close to the schools or these monitoimitalos, so that that's one way to make sure that they are easily accessible, and they are also easily accessible to young people, which is important. Quite often the little children with their parents, they come even if the family center is a bit further away or so on. But for young people, it's important that it's close to the school, to the youth center, and so on. And I have to say that I agree totally with Kirsi. It's very important that we have these services at the school. We have the social services, the health services, the psychologists working there. But for the young people, for the students, it's very important that they can feel, they have a real feeling that they are part of the community, and they can participate, they can have a say how the school functions. And that's the message that we get from the students, from the children.
Yes. Anything else, Michal? Okay, I have a question here. How has the education system been adapted to ensure the functioning learning environment during the pandemic? What about multi-stakeholder initiatives when physical activity has been restricted?
Well, at least when the like physical activities have been restricted, we have in Scouts done some different activities that the kids can do at home. And you can, we have actually created some separate, for example, like a patch that you can do like a home scouting patch, that there's some challenges, that there is maybe some kind of instruction that you could go to the close nature forest, or you can do something like that. And then we also sometimes arrange some courses outside instead of indoors, and try to find different solutions in that way.
Kirsi, I think that you wanted to add something.
Yes, it's very similar in the Finnish schools. Of course, teachers, when we speak about sport and physical well-being, they have been giving different kind of things to do at home and outdoors. In Finland, in many places, it's very easy for children and young people to go out and have some some skiing or walking or whatever, because we have plenty of places to do it, even if we have pandemic. But we must also, of course, understand that our children and young people have had a lot of problems, and we already know that there is a lot of things to do after we get rid of COVID-19 and to the normal life. But I also believe that the motivation which teachers and pupils, everybody has, is very strong to get more strengthening and power to do things which has now been not done because of the situation. But I must say that our communities, school communities, have made a huge work during these 2 years, really.
Hanne, I'm sorry.
Oh yes, actually Kirsi said most of what I was going to say, but yes, we already have research data that especially our young people have suffered from this period of COVID very hard, and we do have a heavy work to do later on to to get them back on feet again, I'd say.
Well, I have to say that I admire that young people in Finland, they have always someone who listens to them. I've experienced that as a teacher in Finland. So I saw that really they have places where to go and who to talk to. There are always there are questions that you support so much those who are kind of sad that not to be left behind, and some kids that have problems. How about the gifted ones? That's always question in the Czech Republic. How about the gifted students who has like special learning skills, or they learn faster and so on? Well, how about supporting of these kids? Could you tell us maybe if there are any programs or maybe some supporting projects for the students who are like kind of gifted?
I don't have now done by myself anything like that in practice, but what I have seen teachers doing and from very closely how teachers have been doing. So these 2 years has also learned a lot about how to use digital materials and tools. And I must say that at least there is also findings of new kind of resources, open resources, which can be used in the school work. So many talented pupils and students, they can maybe quite independently use these possibilities. They can concentrate them, which is interesting and which is more difficult than what maybe others are. I also know that this distance working makes, of course, it possible to have groups where they can have different kind of things to do and challenges, but also these talented pupils can be like tutors for other children. So I mean that the pedagogical alternatives are many. And I think that in Finland, in these schools where they have been using iPads, mobiles, laptops, whatever, already in their normal school work, were very much ready when this pandemic started. And this is something which have been learned in Finland, that we must take care of every school's possibilities also in the future, because we maybe have this kind of situation again in the future. But I mean, there can be more even possibilities for different kind of working, what we have not understood before pandemic.
Thank you, Salla.
Yeah, this is also not straight from my own sector where I work now, but I graduated as a teacher, so we went very much on the teaching practices, this kind of topics as well, and many of my friends are working as teachers. So sometimes you use this kind of co-teaching method as well, where you might together with another teacher, you might combine so that maybe one does, for example, with mathematics or stuff like that, where you can have a little bit more advanced group, and sometimes like different level groups for some lessons, so that then you can utilize that. Or you can, for example, send some of the kids from a 3rd grade to do some lessons on the 4th grade or something like that. Sometimes that's at least the impression I have, but again, I haven't worked on the field, so yeah.
Susanna.
Yes, thank you. To echo what Kirsi and Salla already said, the emphasis on also on the teacher training in the universities is about this, is about the individual approach and how to integrate different things into the lesson, also to support the students who need the support, but also encourage the talented students. So this is part of the teacher training and like the teacher professionalism, I would say, in order to be able to do that. And so we talk a lot about the individual approach, about the group work, and I was going to say about the co-teaching, what Salla already mentioned. So this, of course, is a resource, and it helps the teachers work also to talk about your work with a colleague, to organize your work with the colleague. So then it helps the individual approach as well.
Yes, Kirsi has.
Yes, I only wanted to add that at least in my home municipality, Raseborg, we have schools more and more also being interested about the international cooperation between schools. And I think that it has waked up because you cannot travel, but you always can have other kind of cooperation between schools, also with schools abroad.
Yes, Michal.
Well, Susanna first.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I just forgot my hand again. Sorry.
Okay. The time is running, but there are still many questions, and I would like to ask one, and that's about the equal chances, equal possibilities for kids. Finland is massive country, like compared to the Czech Republic and Slovakia, and there is a half population of the Czech Republic in such a big country. How can you make sure that all the kids, because this is amazing that about Finland, how do you, not how can you, but how do you do that the kids get the equal support, equal possibilities and equal chances to become like valuable parts of this society, no matter where they live, in Utsjoki or in Helsinki, that it's same everywhere. I was checking, for instance, library in Utsjoki also. I was this is something that really, this is very, like, I was very impressed by that how is that possible? Is it the teacher's education or how?
Yes, Susanna.
Well, I would like to continue what actually Kirsi mentioned in her presentation, is that when we start developing something, we start from the bottom up, so to speak, so that the ideas, the curriculum, the work starts with listening to the people who are actually doing the work, so that it is not something that is sent from the top down. And so this is the thing, but it's a conversation, it's a collaboration that works sort of both ways. So that's how you get everyone involved, from Utsjoki to Helsinki, and then you make sure that it is not Helsinki based what we're doing, but we're actually listening to everyone. And then, of course, what Kirsi was also mentioning is the funding and is sort of the grants that the projects that are provided. Some of them are bookmarked to be spent on certain things, to be spent on certain areas. So that's how we make sure. We are seeing some differentiation in the Finnish schools and the Finnish areas for sure, but we are trying to combat that. We're trying to work for that, and that's Kirsi's area and what Kirsi can tell more about. But so the bookmarking is one. Also inside a municipality, you can bookmark. You have some areas that are not so well off, so you make sure that they get some extra project. They get some nice things going for the school, so that the school's image and attraction goes higher. So it attracts good teachers, it attracts new projects, and so it happens sort of countrywide and municipality-wide.
Yes, Salla is next, I guess.
Okay, well, yeah, I think that some of the part is this teacher education, that all the teachers, they have to study in the university, get a master's degree, and we don't have this system like in some countries. I've heard that they have to do some level exam in the end of their education, and that will define for the rest of your career how good a teacher you are. I think that's quite horrible, but we don't have such things. Everybody does the same education, and we try in Finland to fight for that there are no such competition between schools. Also, that there are in some countries it's very much about competing at some schools better than others, and then some parents can also, we have this thing that parents cannot choose in what school children go to, so that also makes the schools much more mixed with different backgrounds, which is keeping it much more variety in that. Which is good.
Thank you, Salla. Now Kirsi, please.
Yes, all that, and I only would like to add that because we don't have any national tests, but we have different kind of evaluation studies. So we can have, using these studies, some important research findings which then give us feedback what is the situation in Utsjoki, in Hanko, and different parts of Finland. And then we can make decisions about what should be done to get the things to be better. And I must say that in our municipal system, it's one very important thing. And it is that the municipalities are also working together and they are learning from each other. I think that it's important that they also share their good practices so that everybody can also learn from others. And today we have heard many interesting best practices, which gives the opportunity to also others to learn something new.
Thank you, Hanne. Please.
I would just add one more thing. Also at municipal level, they use this, how they call it, positive discrimination money, so that they give more support to those schools, those areas where the challenges are bigger, where the students come from very many different backgrounds, having many problems maybe, and then they get more money.
Thank you. Please, Michal, you have a question or a
Yes.
comment?
I have a comment. Thank you very much. The time is up. I think that we have used already even more, even though that we've got a really long list of the questions, but I think that we have already used even more time that you gave us. So from my part, I would like to thank you very much for your participation. Really, it was a big pleasure to have you, and I enjoyed it. I have to say that I learned a lot, and it was a big pleasure for me. Alena, your final word.
Also for me. Maybe we had two good panelists, so we couldn't stop it in time. Thank you so much for your time and your comments and everything. Have a nice spring whenever it starts in Finland.
Thank you very much from my side as well. Now it's quite snowy, but thank you very much for welcoming.
There are
Yes.
also many messages like thanking you for all the answers and all the information, and also thank you all the participants that you were here with us today. And now I think we can already call it an over. And thank you once again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.